Hey there everybody, welcome back to sum41. I'm Wads, as you know by now, and we're coming to you today with another exclusive interview. Adam Eichberger contacted me after he made top 16, so big congratulations to him, and a big congratulations to everybody who competed and did well. And he let me know that he played the Micro Machines deck that he created using my Dead Engine deck as a baseline. And he was nice enough to answer a few questions for me, as well as let me go over his deck profile. So I'm going to go over some of the questions that I went over with him, and we're going to kind of explore what the thought process was going into Origins for him. I first asked him, he told me that he used Insecticons to make it through prelims, and then switched to Micro Machines for the championship on Saturday. And I asked him to explain his reasoning for each deck selection. To which he told me the big reason he chose to play Bugs over Micro Machines on Thursday's qualifier, there's not a lot of consistent decks in the current meta, and it was kind of an unknown ground. And he wanted to play it safe and keep Micro Machines more or less under wraps until it was time to unleash it for the final day. He said he finished 8th on his day. And that's pretty much it. Playing Micro Machines was apparently his plan from the beginning. He decided to attend Origins and was hoping he could catch people off guard with the lineup, possibly gain some respect for a deck that he feel can be competitive outside what was considered the top decks at the time. And as far as I can tell, it seems like that seems to be the trend. He told me he was hesitant to play it, especially after going 4-2 with Rodimus Prime, which was what I'm calling the Optimus Prime Hot Rod Flame War deck. He was conflicted going into Saturday and decided to take the day off and, play more what he considered to be more fun versus playing what he considered to be his strongest deck. And he decided to stick with the plan, throw Micro Machines down the table, and just kind of go for it. After looking at the deck list, I noticed that he made some pretty big changes to the deck, and I asked him what were the reasoning for the changes, because it changed quite a bit from the last time I was able to bring you a deck profile for him. He said after he won his Win-A-Box tournament at the Miniature Exchange, he overheard the deck was kind of an aberration, as they were calling it, and he wanted to make sure that it wasn't just, as he calls it in this, lightning in a bottle, one-off or a fluke or anything. So he felt it needed major improvements to take it from being a gimmick into a competitive, legitimate deck. I agree with all the changes that he made. I think they're great. I've even taken a few of the changes that he made and started molding them into the Dead Engine that I've been working on myself. I asked him, I said I'm sure the competition was fierce, especially for the final day. And I asked him what the toughest match he competed in throughout the entire thing was. He said every match was tough in its own way, and the biggest loss of the weekend came from Brad Weaver playing Aerial Bots and Prime, and Brian from Wreckin' Rule playing Rogue Squadron, which I've had the opportunity to actually sit and watch some of his videos with that. I honestly think that's a nifty idea. The toughest matches were against Samuel Cahill, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, apologies if I pronounce your names wrong, playing Nova Prime, Dustin Haley playing Bugs, and Nick Blandon also playing Bugs. You'll get a full breakdown of his schedule and what he played. That'll be in a separate post that's coming later tonight when I have time to include the whole interview for you to read. When he got the single elimination, he went 1-1 because it was single elimination, winning the first round against Bugs against Dustin Haley, and then losing to Nick Blandon on in round 2. I asked him, how do you feel knowing that Wave 3 and Wave 4 will be out going into Gen Con and then going into the Energon Invitational at PAX Unplugged? He said he's excited. He's looking forward to seeing the game grow and improve the number of competitive decks. I'm completely in agreement with him on this one. I feel that the new decks that are going to be coming are going to be huge. The variety, I think, is going to expand too, because there's a lot to look forward to. And with Wave 4 just being like way out in the beyond, we have no idea what we're coming up with. It's just, I feel like it's going to make the game grow and get bigger, and it's going to be awesome. I asked him how well he felt the tournaments were handled and run. And obviously, I saw a lot of posts about this already too, which is why I brought it up. And it happened to be with, it's the first time these events were run, so people were just kind of putting out fires as they came. And from what I understand, everything was handled pretty well. Adam told me he didn't have any issues during any of the events that he played in, and he was aware that there were issues with the deck checks going to time and some judging calls, but being the first large official event hosted for Transformers, it went well despite any bumps in the road that were bound to happen. And I asked him lastly if there were any final thoughts or comments regarding this as a whole, to which he said overall he rates Origins a 10 out of 10. Amazing week. He got to meet so many new players and other people putting content out. Big respect to everybody putting content out. If you haven't visited the other channels, you should do it. They all put out fantastic content, both written and videos. I say go out, dig in. There's plenty to consume. I do plenty of reading and plenty of video watching myself. It helps fill up my commute. It's a fantastic choice. He said he really appreciated Pastimes and the Wizards staff being on site. They were terrific in answering questions about the game and the event, and he's looking forward to the Energon Invitational, and if he can get there to Gen Con. He said it's the best game that he's played in years, and the community is awesome. And I have to say, overall, I think the community in this game is fantastic. People are very friendly. People look out for each other. There's very little animosity, if any at all. And honestly, I think that there's so much to be happy with this game. There's nothing to be upset with. It's a fantastic game, and I'm glad that it's bringing so much joy and so many people together. And being able to bring this content to you on his behalf has been a wonderful honor. Adam, thank you for answering my questions. So we're going to go ahead and move on, and I'm going to get the deck profile going. Okay, so we're going to get started. We'll start with the bot lineup here. As you can see, the bot lineup hasn't changed. He's still using SDCC promo, Cliff Jumper, as well as Wave 2 Prowl, and Decepticon Drag Strip, and Dead End. Now you'll also see that the SRT Bumblebee from Wave 1 is in the picture. That's because he had that on his sideboard. And he explained to me that being able to side out into Bumblebee was good because it gives you a different option as well as to kind of throw off your opponent's game. Alright, we're done with that. We're going to go ahead and move on to the upgrades. Alright, moving in, we have 22 total upgrades. We're just going to start at the top left here. He's got 3 Improvised Shield, always good because of the double orange, and with no stars, it's an obvious choice for an aggro deck. He's got 3 Grenade Launchers in there. Always good. Again, this deck is very aggro, so this was a good choice. He's got 3 copies of Turbo Boosters. As with most Cars deck, you'll find that the ability to untap is always good. 3 copies of Erratic Lightning, which I personally have started using too. I find it's good, just putting the power into your strength versus anything else is always good. You'll see he has 2 copies of Force Field. I used to run 3, but I kind of like the way he went, just kind of cropping back to 2. After that, you'll see there's 2 copies of Bashing Shield, both very strong, good for getting rid of armors, especially reinforced plating and force fields if you're going against aggro decks. You'll see he still has the 2 copies of Mining Pick, which is always good. It helps you stack what you need to trigger things like Drag Strip, or even just for a nice solid boost, stack those 2 double orange pips that are just kind of rotting away in your hand and give yourself a huge boost. He's got one copy of Power Punch, which is cool. I like that. Orange Pip, Bold 3, always good. Just keep the aggro coming. He's got one copy of Backup Beam. Gives you another blue pip to hit towards Drag Strip, plus you can grab it with the green pip. And then he's got 2 copies of Scoundrel's Blaster, which is great knowing that there were going to be decks like Sentinels, especially with a lot of stuff using Press the Advantage being such a good card, knowing that Autobots were going to be a big opponent. Just get in there and just light them up as best you can. Alright, we're going to move on to actions now. Moving into actions, we have 18 of them. We're going to, again, start at the top left. Got 2 copies of I Still Function, which I had the chance to pick his brain about, and I kind of agree with the reasoning. Being able to call up bots, especially when it's time for that last big swing, is a big deal. Being able to call Prowl back in after he's been beat down is a fantastic choice, and I applaud him for thinking of that. Moving on, we got 2 copies of Supercharge. Again, Bold 3, love it. Making the aggro work for you. After that, we've got 1 copy of Press the Advantage. With 2 Autobots, I mean, it's a good choice. Having the green pip means you don't necessarily need to run a full set of them because you can still get access. There's lots of Bold in this deck, so you're going to probably flip it over sooner or later so you can get access to it. And with having a relatively large hand size with this kind of deck, you'll be able to have something that you'll pitch for it, probably like an improvised shield. After that, 3 Peace Through Tyranny. Again, heavy aggro deck. I've noticed that sometimes I actually get the chance to use this, like if Prowl's really hurt and they've only got, you know, 1 more bot to tap, I can take that second turn, try and kill and go for a kill shot. But for the most part, you're going to either be pitching it for your green pips or you're going to be, you know, using it for your attacks. After that, there's 1 copy of Espionage and 1 copy of Escape Route. Both fantastic choices. I like the green pips. Being able to flip things back into car mode are always good, especially like, oh, use the Escape Route, you know, flip dead end back and then flip and use your manual flip to flip him back over and get that 2 draw. He's got 1 copy of Vaporize and 1 Disruptive Entrance. The Vaporize is always good. I personally opt for ramming speed, but I go far more aggressive than this build normally. But, I mean, hey, does the same thing. Can't fault it if it works. Disruptive Entrance is one I never really thought about. It's good being able to peel actions, especially considering you're going to be running into combiners, especially aerial bots or even Sentinels. Those Sentinels typically don't combine too much. It seems like it would be more for aerial bots, but you can definitely do some good peeling. You don't really need to aim like you would with Espionage. Moving on, we have 3 copies of The Bigger They Are. A fantastic choice. 3 of those bots are really small, so being able to get that Pierce 4, I mean, that's huge. I mean, you combine it with Drag Strip on his bot mode side, and that's just Pierce 5, and that's a big attack. And then last but not least, we got Start Your Engines. Fantastic choice. I always love this. I mean, it's a staple for cars. Being able to flip everybody back over and then untap one. I mean, it gets you to be able to use Prowl maybe more than once. You get to flip dead end back over so you can flip him and get the extra draws. I mean, it's really just a fantastic card for this build. Alright, and last but not least, we're going to move on and go over and take a look at his sideboard. Alright, we're going to go ahead and take a look at his sideboard now. I'm going to apologize for the fuzziness of the picture. He sent these to me, and they're fantastic pictures, but I mean, you can't always get pristine pictures every time. I feel like this will get plenty of work done. We've got an I Still Function up there in the top left. That way he can side in, get that extra 1. That way, you know, if you feel you're not drawing it often enough to make it useful, side in that 3rd one and, you know, get the extra callback. 2 more copies of Espionage. Not a bad choice, especially with, like I said, combiners being around. It gives you the chance to side it in if you feel like you need to grab that Enigma when the combines come, and especially for something like Superion, which can really just dampen your day with all the tough and the pierce. 2 copies of Cornered. Now this one I had thought about for side decking, and I completely have to high-five him for including it because I completely forgot about it. And I asked him, He said the big thing right now is bugs. Bugs are everywhere, and cornered, while it's good against combiners because it slows them down, it's huge against bugs because you can flip that Scrapnel back over to his bot mode, or sorry, to his alt mode side, and then you can just drop the hammer on him because he's not going to be mitigating it to just 3 fixed damage. That's a big deal, especially when you got Prowl in there with, say, a grenade launcher, and with that onboard bold 1, I mean, that's a big hit, and that could potentially kill Scrapnel, and then their meat shield's gone, and then the other guys still hit really hard, but it makes it a lot more difficult to deal with once your standard shield is gone. Over here we got Enforcement Batons, always nice, drop it, get that +1 attack, and then you can get rid of a weapon if you find that there's a weapon like an Energon Axe or a Scoundrel's Blaster or something that's really just getting on your nerves, just get it out of there. There's another Power Punch right there. I mean, if you feel like he feels like he's not getting enough aggro out of it, drop that in there and just pile the hurt on as much as you can. You throw that down with a Supercharge or a Reckless Charge, it just brings the pain. He's got another backup beam, again, also good. Feel like you need more blue pips if you're just not triggering drag strip enough and you feel like you need a few more blue pips, and you can toss that in. The bold 2's nice. It's got that green pip so you can just fish for it. I mean, this deck mills through so much stuff with the bold that you shouldn't have any issues getting access to it if you're running 2. So I think that was a solid choice. And then last but not least, we got 2 copies of Noble's Blaster, and I asked him about that, and he said that if he feels like the Decepticons just really aren't getting the love that they need as far as dropping attacks and piling it on, swap them out, grab that Noble's Blaster, give Cliff Jumper and Prowl that extra 2 boost and Pierce, especially if you're facing off against Decepticons. I mean, the extra Pierce is always good. Just make sure you're definitely landing that damage. Alright, that's pretty much it for me today. I want to thank you all for coming out and listening to me. I want to send a big thank you out to Adam Eichberger for giving me the chance to interview him and profile his deck again. I mean, it was awesome to see that he made it to top 16 at Origins using a deck that he took from something that I was using and turned it into something completely new, and just get in there and have fun with it as well as make it work well for him. I want to give much love out to everybody who competed. You guys did great. All those people that made it to day 2, including, top 16 all the way up to the tops. I mean, you guys did great. I can't wait to see what you guys do in the future. Thanks for coming out to see me. Y'all have a wonderful day.